It's Sunday night, and you're thinking, you know what, Giants, Bills, and you know it's going to be a blowout, and your favorite baseball team is out no longer playing, and you're bored, you got nothing to do, there's no good movies to go see, and it's Sunday night. Well, Sportswire Radio has got you covered for some action and hard hitting analysis, which we always give to you each and every time we're on the air. And our guest, who has not been with us in a long, long time, has certainly been a very, very busy man these days. You saw him in the ring earlier this summer for our very good friends over at the RWA and RWA Galaxy up in the 585. And he, though, however, recently announced his retirement from in-ring competition. He's going to talk about that, plus some other things he's working on outside of the world of wrestling. And his career speaks for itself. Puerto Rican world champion, RUW world champion. He has been in this sport that we all love nearly and dearly to our hearts for more than 30 years. He is no stranger to Sportswire Radio, but it feels like years since he last came on. I present to you, after all the introductions, our guest. Like I said, he may need no further introduction, but because he's a stranger, he has to get that introduction that everybody else gets. So with that, without further ado here, on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, the one and only C2K. My friend, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, man? It has been a long time.
It has been a while. I think it's been like 6 months, basically, since
Oh,
you last came on. About 5, 6 months. It's certainly been a while. I think the last time you came on, we were starting to get some nice weather, and now we're kind of toward the end of where we'll get some nice weather, but we're certainly not the end of our conversations with you here on Sportswire Radio. But C2K, for those that are listening and watching here, it is apparently the end of the line, the end of your decorated career in-ring competition-wise. So tell us why, C2K, you have decided to step away from in-ring competition.
You know, the reason why is I have, sometimes we think we're mortal. Sometimes we think, when you are in the either in the pro wrestling business or backyard wrestling business, you think you had done everything,
You've
went
been in
through
it since
tables.
91. Listen, 91, you've been in it.
91. And it's like you think you're mortal, you think, that you can't get sick, you can't get hurt. But there's sometimes that Mother Nature tells you, "Oh yeah, you can get hurt. Yeah, you can get sick." So
I've been sick for over 3 weeks, so trust me, I understand.
yes, and the thing is that I have been having pain on my right leg lately, and
Mhm,
of course, I ignore it, whatever. I say, just a little pain, whatever, and I say just like a headache, it's just a little pain, and it
mhm.
keep getting worse in training, and um I said, you know what? I need to go to the doctor and I need to check this, whatever. So I checked it and he said, well, you have sciatica on your right leg and
Oof,
it might spread to your other leg.
oof.
And he said something that I didn't want to hear it. And he said, well, you need to retire because if you don't, you're going to end up in the cane or you're going to end up um, in a wheelchair.
Wow,
And
wow.
yeah, and it was like it's just when I came back from that doctor, I remember I was holding my C2K shirt and it's like, oh man, it's like it's a lot. I had to do a lot of thinking, and right there I had to call RWA. I had to call the owner, my brother, John the Rock Jackson, and
Yes,
I had
we've
to
had
talk.
John on here in the past, sure.
Yes, I had to talk to him, and I said, I had to sit him down. I said, brother, this is what's going on, and he was sad too, but he understood. He said, "Brother, your health is important. You need to retire." So that's what I did. I said, you know what? I'm gonna officially retire. I'm going to announce it. The one is to the one is to know.
But it's interesting, and I have a bunch of comments. I'll get to comments here in a second. But when we had you on the first time, you were training for the in-ring return. Remember, you were
Yes.
dealing with the hand injury. We were speaking about this off the air. I remember having you on in January,
Exactly.
which feels like yesterday, but it was 9 months ago. You were
Yes.
dealing with the hand injury that was very serious, and you were fighting to
Mhm.
come back because you hadn't wrestled. If I'm not mistaken, I think you hadn't wrestled, I think 2 years, and you really hadn't wrestled much since COVID. So you really only had very little in ring experience. So you fight, you get through these injuries. RWA starts. Obviously, we've had John on, Stefan Havoc, who you wrestled in the ring for the
Yes.
RWA world title earlier in the summer. We'll certainly get
Yes.
into that. But you were fighting to make a comeback, and that you had heard said here that it wasn't going to be the last of C2K. You
Exactly.
had something left. But how do you feel now? Because you fought so hard to come back, but yet here we are 9 months later, and you've bid adieu.
You know, at first I was like heartbroken because it's like, I was thinking about my fans. I love my fans.
You have been so dedicated to your fans. There is
Yes,
nobody I know that
yeah,
dedicates as much time to your fans, whether it's through the movies, whether it's through the rapping, whether it's through the religion we'll get into, whether it's through wrestling. I mean, and it's why people, when they hear your name, they just light up. It's almost like
exactly,
somebody puts
exactly.
on the Christmas lights and C2K's name
Yes,
comes up and they just, they light up.
exactly. And the thing is that, because I was thinking about about my fans, and then I was like here, I was tearing up because it was
Well,
just like
retiring's a big thing to say, hey, I can't do it no more. It's
exactly, exactly. It's like, I mean, I knew I was gonna come to that point, but I wasn't thinking that was gonna be this early. I was thinking like next year.
how long? I know when we spoke here, you had wanted to do a few different things, and
Yeah,
obviously it ain't gonna happen. But,
true.
in terms of like, how long did you want to wrestle?
I really, really wanted to be in the wrestling TVW, and it's like I was talking to one of my brothers on TVW. Love you guys. Um, and it was like just talking to them, and because they told me they heard, when you announced it over here, and it's like, that's true. You're gonna retire. You retire? I said, yes, I did. I retired. But we have been talking about an appearance. Like probably next year. I will do an appearance. Over there in TBW. You know, as can wrestle. But appearance would be good. That's
Well,
as far as
I'm gonna certainly get to that and what you might want to do in the ring still. But
yes,
obviously, let's talk about RWA. And obviously, John Jackson. John has been a friend here to us on Sportswire. We've had Stefan on in the show that, man, you wrestled. And obviously, John has been on here. And I want to pull up some of the links here because obviously, RWA, when they put episodes up, by the way, every Saturday, 6 o'clock on their YouTube page, hundreds and hundreds of people watch those shows. And they've had a devoted following over the past, I would say, 5.5 months. But you were in the ring for RWA. You wrestled 2 matches. Your most
yes,
recent match was a victory against the Iceman, James
yes,
Storm. And talk about that. And obviously, it was a match where, you were pretty much being dominated, but you found a way to kind of pull out a victory there. And
yeah,
that's the last we've seen you actually in a ring. So, talk
yes.
about how much you've thought about that match and just, what did that win mean to you if that's the final thing that we're going to see of you in your career?
When I fought Iceman, he was like, this guy really took me to my limits.
Hey, dude, he was working your arm
He
throughout the match.
was
He was
like,
working through your arm.
I was thinking, how do I get this man off of me? Like everything that I try to do, everything he was just looking at me, just like, okay, well, how am I gonna put you down? You know, but it was a great fight. It was a great match, and if I will consider that would be the best match I ever had in my life. You know, I
Wait, wait,
mean,
wait, 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 wait.
there's two best matches that I have in my life.
You've wrestled on and off for 32 years, right?
Yes,
And
yeah.
you've wrestled a long time. You have a YouTube page we'll pull up
Hmm.
shortly where you can
Hmm.
catch some of that. So you're telling me your most recent match against Storm is the best one in your career. Why?
And I want to say I have it too. That was another, you know, one of my best matches too. It because I want to say this. I mean, I haven't wrestled a lot of matches since for 30 years,
Right.
and
Sure.
I had never have wrestled two guys that can really to me to my limits, can really to me to that edge, can really. I felt like when I wrestled for my first time, they took me there, you know, and I had to like everything that I did. This guys was bring it back and bring it, get you know, putting me,
You're
you
a
know,
big
putting me to
guy
bed.
too, by the way. A big guy in the ring.
Exactly, it's big guy, and it's like you know, he took me to that one of my first matches that I had, you know, back in 1991, and it was like, wow, you know, it's like I wanted, you know, if I didn't retire, I would have wrestled with them again. I would, you know, it was a great match that I had, you know, with both of them, especially Havoc, you know, with a chair, you know, with a bow by wire, so, you know, hitting on your back, you know, stuff like that, you know. Trust and believe, you know, is if I could do it again, I would do it again.
So then how much have you thought about the match? Because that match aired at the end of July. So we're
Yeah.
talking now, it's been almost 3 months since we've seen you in action. You announced your
Mhm.
retirement about a month or so ago. So how much have you thought about that match?
You know, I think about it a lot, and it's that you know those those type of matches. It will never you will never forget. You can never forget about those type of matches, especially with Ice Storm, Ice Storm and Havoc. It
Havoc
because
I'm going to get to because I've had Havoc on the show. So I'm going to certainly get to Havoc shortly. But you know, in a
mm,
match like this, tell us, continue as to why you thought about this match so much.
it because I felt like I had to work for it. I felt like I had to. I was fighting for my life.
You
I
were being, he was
you know
trying to take your arm off out of your socket.
exactly like he was hitting my arm and he was like I was like man like even though like he was trying to break my arm, he was trying to break my arm off, and I said I had to fight. I had to fight back, and I did. You know, I mean, at the end of the match, I given the Vampires pain and 1, 2, 3. That was over.
Well, it was certainly a big win for you. And obviously, I mean, if this is the swan song, if this is the sayonara, and I'll get to comments in a couple of minutes, I mean, you do get to go out on top. And, you know, very few wrestlers, if this is your final match, can go out and say, hey, I retired with a victory. I mean, you think about it and how many guys who've stepped away can really say that. You know, Hulk Hogan retired. Basically, he was forced to retire. We never really got a proper
Yes.
retirement match out of him. I mean, I guess you could say Flair, if last year's the final match, won in a tag team match with his
Yeah.
then son-in-law. I mean, Shawn Michaels didn't really retire on top. I mean, okay, maybe Stone Cold, if this is his swan song against Kevin Owens last year
Yes.
at WrestleMania, you know, I'm thinking about, again, different people that have announced their goodbyes. And generally in wrestling, kind of like in sports in general, most
Mm,
people don't get it right. I mean, Tom Brady a couple years ago should have
exactly.
retired after the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. He hung on. I mean, he still played pretty well, but nowhere near
Exactly.
what it was a few years ago. Michael Jordan famously
Yes.
retired the first and the second times he retired on top, but still came back for a third time. So I mean, if this is it, you have retired on top. So we'll certainly see. But before I get into other people who may want to say a few different things, I mean, so you wrestled Stephen Havoc, and you know, one of the things you said months ago was you wanted to wrestle for the RWA Hardcore Championship, and you got to
Yes,
do that. You got your shot against Stephen
I
Havoc,
did. I got
who
my
holds
shot.
two world championships now currently. He's the BYW champion, in addition
Yes,
to being the RWA Hardcore champion. That was a really brutal match, and I think he
it
beat you with
was.
a moonsault off the top rope, 1, 2, 3,
One,
if I
two, three. That's
recall
it.
correctly from a few months ago. So let's talk about that, and what did that mean to you to get a shot at a title that here on this show live that you wanted to crack at?
So it is the truth. It was for me. Going for the hardcore champion for me was very important because I know I said it, many times. One of my brothers, he passed away. He was in RUW, Rochester Underground Wrestling,
Yep.
and he was the hardcore champion, Slade Dark Demon. And I remember the first time that we saw the belts that came, and I saw the hardcore champion, and I felt like it was a connection between me and the hardcore champion. And it's like I touched that belt, and the only thing I thought about my brother, Dark Demon Slade, and I was tearing up, and I said, you know what, I need to do this. I need to go for this belt. I need to. I was trying to, keep the legacy for my brother Dark Demon, and when I saw Havoc, and I said, I need to go for the hardcore champion, and I thought I was gonna win. I thought I was gonna win, but the guy gave me a great match. He beat me
Oh,
one, two,
I
three.
mean, right now, what Havoc is doing really with RWA, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, has been very impressive. His run throughout the
Yes.
season, I mean, obviously, you think about the different wrestlers that hold championships. I mean,
Mhm.
what he's done, I mean, this guy has put himself through glass, he's put himself through tables, he's put himself
Yeah.
through other painting instruments, literally other painting instruments. I mean, he has really showed, and he said it here on this show months back when we had him on before the season debut, that he
Yeah, I
was going to
saw
do
it.
things,
Yeah,
and he's kind of done that. I mean, just talk about how
he done.
impressive he has been in carrying the Rochester Wrestling Alliance.
He is very impressive, and this guy had really shot me. And I mean, I have seen him. Before he came to RWA, I have seen him. In his old matches, and you
Right.
know, and I said, wow. It's when you see somebody on the TV, you say, this guy being impressive. Into you get with that person in the ring, and that person shows you, yeah, this I'm that guy, the same guy that you saw on the TV. I'm that guy, and wow, this guy really he took me to the limits, and he's great. He's really great. I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of the thing that he done RWA, and I hope he keep doing the things that he doing in RWA.
Well, we're going to certainly find out, and I'd like people to certainly go out there and watch RWA, which you can do on YouTube. Watch all the shows at RWA Galaxy 585. You can also check them out on Facebook at Rochester Wrestling Alliance. You can also follow Mr. C2K himself. We've got his YouTube channels up here. He's on Instagram as well. You definitely want to support him. You also want to support us here on Sportswire Radio. Let me say hello to some people. I'm going to avoid the back and forth between Omen Black and Adonis Felios because this is obviously C2K on behalf of RWA Galaxy, and I want to thank John the Rock Jackson for allowing us to talk about their company. So I'm going to leave some of the usual stuff, but I will say hello to both gentlemen. I certainly want people to follow their companies as well, and we say hello to them. We also say hello to this individual here. I appreciate the kind words from Adonis with certainly Sports Wire Radio. Also want to say hello to Ace Reed of the Wired Up podcast. He's trying to start up his company, Backyard Wrestling Down Under. Want to say hello to my very good friend, Mr. Michael Blackheart. His father-in-law is Festus Davis, who's a referee for our friends over at XCW Shelbyville. And we have XCW coverage coming up here Friday night with Brogan O'Shea, so you're certainly not going to want to miss that. We're going to have a lot more XCW coverage in the Pike. I'm also going to be back here with DBW coverage this Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. with Brandon Castelli, the Mauler. Brandon Castelli is going to be live here. And tomorrow night, as I announced, British Standard Time, I'll be here with Callum and Jakes for the upgrade on the eve, literally, of his shot at All Hallows Eve for the Nonstop Action Wrestling Northern Division Championship. So I also want to say hello to Skulls, Skulls the Soul Hunter. I'm actually wearing his shirt. So he says hello here to you as well. He says, "What's up to C2K?" Drake Silverwolf says hello. And Joe says, "How are you?" I think a lot of people are also going back and forth with that. So I'll come back into that. But,
Hello.
John Jackson, I want to talk about because obviously it's his company, RWA, and he's had a vision. He pretty much told us what the vision is. And if you look at all the episodes, I mean, you guys put these shows out Saturday night, 6 o'clock on the RWA YouTube page. And you guys are getting hundreds and hundreds of views. So this is a company that, again, another company,
Yeah.
underground, backyard company that's gained a lot of fans in a short amount of time. So how do you feel John has run the company here so far?
My brother's doing a great job, and he said what he was going to say. He did it. And he's still doing it. Bringing the RWA, you know, to you guys, and bringing great wrestlers that have a future. In RWA,
Unwanted,
especially
obviously.
my brother.
Unwanted. I mean, they're running things here in RWA.
Yes, they are. They running things. Especially my brother Dark Demon. If you
Yes.
guys saw Dark Demon, that's my real brother. I'm really proud of him. For returning to backyard wrestling and becoming in RWA, and I hope to see my brother. Winning belts. Taking names. And I know he's gonna do it.
One of the things that has impressed me most about RWA is the
Mm,
announcing. There's some people that, that they have announcers and it's usually their
mm,
company and they do a good job. I mean, obviously, everybody does things different, but basically they do
yes,
commentary under an alias. And, it's their company. And I think that they certainly have, and they do a great job in most of it. But in RWA, we have literally a professional announcer here. So can you
yes.
talk about the announcing? Because I really feel like this is a company that has probably set itself kind of almost this, not the standard, but they've set themselves apart from a lot of companies in the commentary that you hear. So talk about that, maybe. You're on mute. You want to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. You need to you need to put your microphone on. Nope, you're still not. You're still you gotta unmute yourself, C2K. The world
You hear me now?
cannot. There we go. Okay,
Yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was like trying to charge my phone. I apologize.
No, that's okay. But talk about obviously commentary here and why it's been so good.
Um, tell you the truth, I've never met the guy, but I heard about him, and he's really great. He's a
Yeah,
really great commentator.
I mean, his voice is I'm trying to figure
Wow,
where have I
it's
heard him
like,
from.
yeah. I think I probably I don't know. I think my brother Joe can tell you about it
Well, I'm
more
sure
about it.
Mr. Jackson, obviously, I'm sure he'll be back toward the end of the year, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll fill us in on that. But overall, just there's a certain story. They say
Mm,
this a lot in baseball. A baseball announcer is to kind of paint a picture for the game,
it
and
is.
you don't always get that so much in wrestling. You get obviously people that you
Yeah.
watch, and whether it's Michael Cole or whether it's Tony Schiavone, whether it's Tom Phillips in Impact Wrestling or whoever else it might be, depending on the company you like, usually they're either fed some type of information or they're going
Mm,
off kind of how they see things. But the commentary that we have here in RWA almost paints that picture within that
almost.
particular
Yes.
15 minutes. So talk about that and what you see.
Tell you the truth, it is this commentator. He's really great. It's like I don't know if I kind of feel like he has been in indie fed,
Yeah, I
because
think that, and that's what I'm trying to figure
guy.
out. And that's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to that's what I'm trying to figure out here. You
and you know
know,
what? And to tell you the truth, I've been trying to figure it out too about this guy because I say, because when I hear her voice, this is professional, somebody that has been in this for many years. It gotta be somebody that has been in the Fed, um, pro wrestling in the Fed, and it's like I don't know where to get this guy, got this guy, but I got a lot of respect for him. He's the greatest commentator that I ever heard before.
Absolutely. And I was curious because obviously, again, RWA has
Yeah,
certainly been a company that, John messages from time to time and
yes,
obviously knowing you for a while. And it appears that this is the end for you in ring competition, but
yes,
you have such a bond with John. And, I'm curious if you would like to still be involved in RWA.
yes. I would definitely want to be involved with RWA. There's many things that you can do in the wrestling. Not only just be in the ring, and I did talk to my brother when I announced my retirement. I said, you need me, let me know. I could help you. Who knows? I could train some of the wrestlers, or being backstage, or no, whatever RWA needs me, I'll be there.
So you would still like to be involved then in different capacities in
Yeah.
RWA.
Yes.
Is there something that you'd like to do more? Because again, it's a very diverse locker room in that you've got some veterans, you've got some different people. I mean, so you know, uh, is there any particular role most?
I would like to be general manager of RWA.
Wait. Why? Why general manager?
It just I have been general manager before, in RUW, and is I like that experience, to be general manager, and not only helping the wrestlers, making matches and stuff like that. It was a good experience that I had before, and I have it done a couple of times in other wrestling companies, and it was mentioned, it's like, how about you just become general manager and something like that. So, okay, I probably could do that. I would love to be a
Okay,
general
all
manager.
right. And I want to stand corrected on something because it wasn't Adonis Felios and Omen Black going back and forth. And Omen is certainly comparing you to the ring crew. He obviously is kind of joking because you're retired now, but it was more
Exactly.
about some individual, Joe something. I've seen him on here on my stream. I just don't really know him personally, but it seems like
Mhm.
there's a back and forth there with those different people. So I want to shout out, obviously, the IMF and in WC, and I want to give my apologies on that because I didn't really know.
Okay.
Skulls wants to say WrestlingCon 24 is in Philly, and my good friend April Horn, aka Royal Hawaiian from the TV show Glow, will be there. That's great. Omen wants to say he's watched your stuff. He's really one of the best I've ever seen. Now, I'll never see a better ring crew staff member. The way you clean after the show's up is unmatched. He's kind of poking fun. That's okay.
Okay.
So,
Right.
obviously, we spoke about RWA and we
Hmm.
spoke about your role in the company, but where would you like to see or what you like your role to be in the company going forward? But do you have any goals that you'd like to see RWA maybe achieve over these next coming months if you're going to still be a part of it?
I would definitely would love RWA to do a crossover. Like TVW, or I mean, it could be any part of the country, but I really want to see do a crossover. You know, because you have a lot of great wrestlers in RWA, and
Absolutely. I think that there's no question that the talent here is very versatile. I think it
yes,
all comes down to, and I think this happens a lot in the yard. We've seen WC and IMF collaborate. We've seen,
yes,
ROEW and I think XCW, CBW, although XCW I think is a little different. And we've seen, other companies collaborate, IMF and ROEW. And if you're a fan of the underground, more going into the indie stuff, you've seen VTW,
Mm,
EBW, DBW,
yes.
RCR, those companies, certainly have collaborated. So I think it's good for wrestling. But, in terms of, some things that if your career is over, is there one or two things that stand out most in your career now that you've retired?
What really stand up in my career is basically the back in RUW, the rivalry that I have with Matic the Unstoppable Beast. It was for 11
Yeah.
years, and that's really one of the best thing I ever did in my life. And having a 11 year, which it was the longest rivalry in basically in backyard wrestling history for 11 years. Um, you know, back and forth. The championship going back and forth. The storyline was really really good, and just to keep it for 11 years. I mean, we was not, to tell you the truth, we was not planning to keep it for that long, but it just
I don't think
happened.
Pedro Morales and Bruno Sammartino feuded that long back in the day.
Yes, yes. It was not planned. It just basically, like we call it, was destiny. It was something that just it happened. And yeah, and at the same time, the only thing that stand out for me is basically the groups that I created, like Darkness Squad, FBP, Football of Puerto Ricans, and being in DW or Dark World Order. It's all that stuff. Is really stand out.
All right, well, those are certainly important things here to note. And if you are again on Sportswire Radio, you can check us out anytime. We're on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station. And again, if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, we have an internet radio station where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you have a podcast, if you have a show of any sorts and you want to get it played out there to a mass, we can play it here on the link below. We were on sportnarium.com/player, but we are moving to a different portal in the coming weeks. But for now, we have a radio.co feed in the meantime. So you can obviously click on that anytime and you'll be provided to almost 15 different podcasts that run throughout the day. And we play all different types of stuff. So it's not just wrestling. We play sports, we play talk. We have two DJs from time to time come on. Obviously, we stream all of these shows here, and you can definitely check us out anytime. And also, again, I'll be back tomorrow with Callum and Jakester, the upgrade, one half of the nonstop action wrestling tag team champions who will be trying to be a double champion this weekend at NSAW's All Hallows Eve against Supersonic Sammy Blue, who, oh, by the way, stepped in a ring not too long ago with one of our very near and dear favorites, Mr. RPD, the natural born fighter, who holds 3 world titles in the UK. But we'll certainly come back to all that. Skulls has something maybe I'll bring up in a little while, but there is something in the short term that you've decided to do for a change in your life. And I was curious about it for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio. You've decided to become a born again Christian. You've
Yes, I
decided
did.
to change your life in that. And I
Mm,
want to move away from some of the different things that I've heard tonight in
mm.
talking about for a few minutes. Why did you decide to come out publicly and come out to the world to say that you've decided to give your life to Jesus Christ and that
Yes.
you've become a born again Christian?
You know, it's like this. Sometimes when you have your time, God will call you. God,
Mm-hmm.
God will give you that calling, and it's been a long time that God has been calling me back to church. And it's just sometimes when you go through a lot of things in your life, you feel that, what, I gotta give my life to Jesus. I gotta go back to church. I gotta, repent for my sins. And I was in that moment in time to that I decided to give my life, back to Jesus.
Sure.
And I said that as my Lord and Savior, you know, and I sometimes, a lot of people will be praying for me. A lot of people was praying for me to go back to church, especially my mom, my grandmother, and when I decided to give my life, my life to Jesus, go back to Him, I called my mom and my grandmother, and then they start bursting crying, just like, oh my, I would prayers I'll be answered, you know, and it's something that you feel in your heart, when God's called you, and that, okay, I need to repent my sin, I've been doing too much stuff, and you get to that point that you need to, and I decided to go back and be a Christian.
Was there ever a point before you became a Christian that you wanted to make this change? Was this something that all of a sudden you had to literally come to Jesus moment, or talk about like the process? I mean, some people say, I had something bad happen in my life and now
Yeah.
I saw, Christ and I decided to change my life. And, that way there are other people that just, they felt that
Mm,
over time they, wanted something maybe that gave them more stability or a better relationship in an intimate
mhm.
fashion with, Christ and they're obviously Lord and Savior. But for you, I mean, was there a point years ago that you wanted to go more into church and
It,
religion, you didn't do it, or was this a recent thing? Talk about that.
I had a drinking problem.
Okay.
I had a drinking problem. I was drinking too much, smoking, stuff like that. And it's like I felt like when I was drinking, things was happening. I came to a point where there was uh somebody was shooting a gun probably near to me, and stuff like that. And when you get to that point that when you feel like like wow, this happened, and then I could lose my life, or that bullet could have come to me, and I was just like, you know what, nah, I can't be doing this anymore. I can't be going through this path anymore, and it's just like, you know what, nah, it's time for me go back. It's time for answer God's calling.
So obviously, you went through a life that was tough. You grew up in the
Exactly.
inner city, you were in Puerto Rico, it wasn't like, you were in the suburbs and life was peachy as Korn
Mm.
famously had an album off. You did have a rough and tumble life. So then was the drinking and the smoking, was that a diversion to kind
Yeah.
of just everything that you went through and your experiences, whether it was your problems with your family or whether it was growing up in,
It,
in the inner
you
city? You
know,
want to talk about that?
yeah. I have been going through a divorce for almost 3 years right now.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry to hear.
and the thing is that going through that divorce and going through a depression, um, almost committing suicide, uh, 2 or 3 times, and then the drinking problem, then the smoking and stuff like that. It just I was in my lowest point. I was my lowest point, and like this is saying that sometimes God will let you eat mud so you could come back to Him and say, I need you. And I was in the mud. I was deep in the
Yeah.
mud, and it's like I need to ask you, what, God, I need you. I need you right now. And God said, well, come to me.
The divorce took a toll on you a lot over these past 3 years.
Yes.
Why?
Um, I have been with my ex-wife for 15 years. And it was a lot of problems going on. We have our up and down, and when you go through the divorce, it's like when you realize when you lost somebody, you know, that's when you say, wow, it's like I've been with her 15 years, I lost her and stuff like that, and the next thing you know, it's just mentally problems, depression and all that stuff. And when you go through that stuff, it's like, man, I'm in the mud. I'm in my lowest point right now, and it's nothing. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. Something you try
Well,
to
there's a
to
term that's almost like you're in perpetual motion, almost. In other words,
exactly
like you're kind of like
exactly
you can't really go anywhere. Like you're not going forward almost. And I think
exactly.
that's, maybe what you felt and that's why you turned to different
Yes,
things to deal with maybe the emotional pain. And on
yeah,
top of that, you had physical pain because we spoke here on Sportswire the first time you were on here about the fact you were dealing with a hand injury.
exactly,
And then
exactly.
now you're dealing with the sciatica, which could,
I got it,
certainly,
problem.
lead to some other things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so, maybe it's, and going to become, and I'll get to comments in a second, but going into now becoming religious, has
Yes,
that, you've seen a change in your life so far?
yes, I did.
And
I
talk
did.
about that before I move on.
I don't drink anymore. I don't
Okay.
smoke anymore. I've been for 2 weeks without drinking and smoking. I feel like I changed, I mature a lot. I start doing the things that I've been doing before, and it just like wow, it's like I have changed, and now it's I'm not. How can you say that? I don't think the same way. I don't act the same way. You know, I'm in another level basically.
Okay, I mean, let's hope that continues. I want to say hello to our friend Ron. Ron is regularly here on our Sportswire streams, and he says, "Great win for the Jets." Well, I mean, I'm kind of like, as again, I'm more of an independent arbiter in these football games, but we picked them Friday nights, and the Jets did pull off an upset for the first time
Oh
in their
wow.
franchise's history. They defeated the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, the vaunted Philadelphia Eagles, who had come in undefeated. The Jets actually got a victory there. They forced 4 turnovers, and they had defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 20-14. The Jets are now 3-3 going into a bye. We will see, obviously, the Giants and the Bills, who are actually New York's team, New York's home team, which is not too far from C2K's actual home.
Not too far.
They are in a scoreless tie right now in the first quarter against the New
Oh
York
wow.
Giants, who play in the state of New Jersey. So I don't know if you're a football fan, C2K, but that's the football update there for those that are listening and watching here. Yeah. Oh, you're a Cowboys fan. Well, we'll have to talk about you Monday night because they're playing the Los Angeles Chargers, and I'm sure we'll definitely get into that another time. But I want to also, before I talk about some other things on
Yes.
Sportswire with you for a little while, talk about last we had you on, we were talking about a Power Rangers movie, we were talking about some new rap
Yeah.
music, and I'm curious for the audience and what's going on with those projects.
The project for the Power Ranger Synox is gonna be next year, 2024. We're thinking about probably May 2024.
Oh yeah.
Um, basically, we are still in construction, creating, changing the powers of the Power Rangers, the
And
physical,
we
the
have a cast already. The cast has already been picked out.
yes, yes, we do have a cast, and it will be revealed by January 2024.
And obviously, we can see this movie where? Can we see it in movie theaters? Can we see it online?
It's gonna be YouTube. It's gonna be YouTube, and hopefully in a movie theater. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, do you guys have a distribution deal? I mean, do you have those things lined up? I mean, YouTube would certainly be good, but I mean, obviously, movie theaters would have to be a big distribution deal, I
Mhm.
would think.
It is. It would be. It's gonna be a big deal. But baby steps.
Very, very. Listen, going to the box office is one thing. Just get
It's
the
one
movie
thing.
done. Let's certainly take baby steps. That's what we've learned here. And I want to say hello to a few more other people. I want to say hello to Mr. Daniel Banner, the cosplay kid, who was up at 1:50 in the morning. And I have to ask this for my
No, bro.
UK people because I get the tribal cheese come in here sometimes, and I get obviously guys like Daniel Banner and obviously Callum Jake's just my guest tomorrow. I'll have on another guest on Wednesday, MX Knights from Ensaw. And, do the people in the UK, like guys like Daniel Banner, what is your schedule? Because I see you on Sportswire like all times of the day. I guess you must have a really flexible schedule. You could obviously pop on my streams and say hi anytime. I don't mind. I'm not complaining, but I was curious. And I did mention, Ron, you were a Packers fan, so I didn't necessarily say you were a Jets, Giants, or anybody else's fan. So I'll say let's leave that for another time. And Daniel would like to say yes, Power Rangers. C2K is working on a Power Rangers movie. Which, by the way, can we reveal what role you're going to play in the movie? Are you the lead role in the
I'm
movie?
gonna be I'm gonna be the Green Ranger.
All right. Well, we'll certainly see it. Obviously, we've been thinking a lot about the Power Rangers because of the unfortunate death last year
Yeah.
of Tommy.
Yes.
And how
Yes,
did
we
that
do.
impact you? Never got a chance to ask you. How did that
Oh
really
my God. I mean, when that day happened, and I saw it on Facebook, then I'm like, nah, this cannot be true. Because sometimes they put some stuff on Facebook it's not true. And
impact?
I say, okay, as if I see in the news, I won't believe it. And it's on the news, I just start tearing up. I said, no, God, he was my favorite Power Ranger, and he always will be.
Yeah, I think it hit a lot of people hard because he was kind of like the guy on the show and then later on in the movie that really Like he was always the guy that saved everybody. He was always like the guy, no matter what, always found a way to triumph. And then on
Yeah.
top of it, it's for a lot of people, I think, if you're between the ages of, let's say, I guess now would be maybe 30,
Yes.
30 to 40, 30 to 45, and you were a fan of that series growing up,
Yes. Yes.
certainly in the 90s, you were really impacted because it almost two things. A, it's a piece of your childhood
Yes. It
going
is.
away, and
It
also
is.
somebody so young.
To tell you the truth, I always wanted to meet all the Power Rangers, especially especially Tommy.
Hmm.
And it was just like that was one of my dreams to meet him in real person because it's like you said, it was like a part of my child, that died. Part of my child that died.
Yeah, I
I
remember it.
think
Listen, I remember, it was during the afternoons. It was on Fox. It used to air. And I don't know if you had Fox 5 growing up in New York,
yes,
but Fox
yes,
5 was our station here. I grew up in downstate. You grew up in up. Well, you were in upstate. You're a
yes.
little older than me, but growing up, living in Brooklyn, the Power Rangers
Mhm.
were always on after school. So you
He
came home from
was.
school, and that was on all throughout. A lot of the '90s. So growing up, you were always thought that these people would always live forever, and now you think about it, and they
Yes,
passed
yeah,
away.
yes. You always think that because it's like they have been gone for a long time. Kimberly, Sack,
Yep.
Jason,
Yep.
and Billy, all of them, and they even did a movie. They have returned. Was
Yep.
well, was Beanie and Sack. And Trini's daughter, and I saw the movie, and it's like it took me back when I was a kid. Like, oh my God, back in the 90s. That's when
Yep.
they started.
Yep, no, definitely. No, I remember it very well. And Daniel would like to say that he comes onto Sportswire because he loves the streams and he just gets bored. And Daniel also, by the way, is training for GT Ministries in the UK, and we will have some GT Ministries coverage next month when our champion Bentley comes back to the show. He does his usual spot. We just had a GT Ministries spot with
Okay.
Maverick Matt Williams, Daniel. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that, I think you were on that stream anyway, but that was when I did a stream where I literally had no voice. Like I'm still sick now, but about a
Yeah.
week and a half ago when I did that interview, I was like at my lowest point. But that's here nor there.
Yeah.
I hopefully am gonna get my Megazord gear made someday, so his Power Rangers gear could be on the way.
Ooh. Okay.
And he's obviously sad, and a lot of people are that he passed away. I think he was only like 48 or something like that. 40. He was in
Yeah.
his 40s. He's a young man, and he left obviously a daughter behind. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all the Rangers fans. We also talk about music. We're working on music or what?
Yes, I am working on music. I'm still rapping as a Lil C. I still working on my album. It's gonna be next year too. Hopefully by February, gonna come with my first album. Um, so yeah, I'm still writing songs, and I got a lot of songs right now. So
How
yeah.
many songs do you think you have worked out in the can that you could
To,
put
te-
out there?
to tell you the truth, I did so many. I 3 albums
So you got at least 20 songs then that you've worked
at
on.
least. Yeah.
And you would put that out there on what? Spotify, iTunes, that kind of the
Yes.
plan on that?
Yes. Yes.
And you're in the studio, so you've turned away from wrestling but put more time into the studio. Is that
Yeah. I have
something?
put more time to the studio. Yeah, I have put more time. I'm always in the studio. I'm always writing and rapping and stuff like that. But I really now that I give myself to God, I want to be a Christian rapper.
Okay. I mean, is there any influences then as a Christian rapper that you have that maybe inspires you to change? Because when we had you on in the past, you were a Tupac guy. You were big into Tupac, and
Exactly. Exactly.
not exactly. Tupac is. I respect Tupac, but he's not Christian rap. So have different? Are you listening to different music now?
Uh,
Now that
I
you're
do.
going into
I listen to Dax.
okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Are we talking about the Dax that came on the show here? Talking about.
No, 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 no. The rapper.
Oh, okay. Because we had, I think I had a guy on here. I think that was also trying rap. I'm trying to think of what his name was. He's changed his name like so many different times. Vinny. It was Vinny something. You remember him? He came on the
Yeah, I
show and
remember. Yes, yes,
he's had
yes.
like four different name changes. I think he's actually named Dax now. But you actually listen to Dax, the real rapper. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. That is certainly good and well. And then since you've retired from wrestling, how has that influenced some of the stuff you might do as a performer in music?
Tell you the truth, he had pushed me to what I
Yeah.
really wanted to do. He had pushed me there because now that I'm not training anymore and I'm not wrestling anymore, and I have a lot of time to really do things that I really want to do. It's like like I say, music. And now that it's like it's like as a Christian, now I got the time because I do have a cousin. She has been, she's a Christian singer. Her name is Nirmita Hernandez. And she
Uh-huh.
has been singing for since she was a teenager. And I did talk to her a couple days ago, and she's like, so you really wanna go ahead and be a Christian singer, as a rapper? I said yes. She said, well, I will help you out. So you know yeah.
Well, we'll certainly find out. If you want to hear more about C2K and his ventures, such as music and movies, you can go to YouTube at C2K585, C2K Courage to Kill 28, and on Instagram, The Real C2K83. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station here with the one and only C2K for a little while longer. Now, C2K, you talked about obviously in the message to me earlier today that you
Yes,
want to come on Sportswire more often and you want to come
I
on
do.
different
I
shows.
do.
And what exactly do you have in mind? I have to ask for the audience.
I don't know. Probably chill with you, and
Well, I mean, are you looking to do, well, we asked, well, here's why I bring it up. Because we talked about the fact that you're no longer in ring competition. Are you looking to provide commentary on the pro wrestling world? And you're watching WWE, you're watching AEW.
yes,
Are you looking to come on and maybe talk about what's going on in pro wrestling and add your
sure,
perspective? All
of
right.
course,
So you
of
watch
course I
Raw and
do.
SmackDown regularly. You watch AEW, and are those
Hmm.
things that you'd want to provide commentary on, sir?
Sure, exactly.
So
Now,
you,
I commentary RWA, of course. Not only RWA, TVW, RSVW, and of course, I would like to cover every backyard wrestling company in the whole country.
but obviously yes, but I mean also, I mean, do you watch WWE and AEW? I'm
Yes,
sure. Well, that was my
AEW,
question. So I
WWE.
mean, maybe we put you on these shows and say, hey, what's going on in WWE? What's going on in AEW? And what do you think about these things?
AEW is, when Edge came, Edge made his first debut on AEW, and that was one of the things that shocked me because we got Christian Cage, of course. um but watching Edge, coming to AEW, make his first W in AEW, that was one of the things that very impact in my life. And because you don't you think that, okay, I know that he did said that he was done with WWE. He was basically was going to retire, and next thing you
Right.
know, he comes to AEW, something that you never thought was going to happen.
No, I mean, I think it definitely. I mean, the tea leaves were getting there, but him actually to show up in a non WWE ring to compete certainly, I think, was a shocking thing. But then obviously
Yeah.
WWE has countered. Jade Cargill is now a big part of things. We've seen her on the different companies' TV. We've seen her confront Charlotte Flair. We saw NXT this past Tuesday, and we saw the likes of John Cena, The
Yes.
Undertaker. Even we never thought they would have been on NXT TV.
In
Paul Heyman.
NXT, we never thought that was, seeing Justin and Undertaker in NXT. You know, it's especially the Undertaker in the NXT. That was like as the American badass.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the interesting thing was he was the American badass, and we haven't seen him as the Well, we saw the one spot with him and Bray Wyatt, who I know meant a lot to
Yes,
you,
yes,
but we really
as the
haven't
American
seen
badass.
the American badass so much. But he showed up as the American badass. Maybe
Yes,
it
he
was
did.
fitting for an NXT ring, and he certainly, maybe passed the torch a little bit in a way to Carmelo Hayes, who also got a
Yes.
big rub throughout the evening, certainly. And John Cena, we spoke about, was a part of things. Cody Rhodes was a part of things there.
Cody Rhodes,
LA
yeah.
Knight, the Yeah movement. It's like the C2K movement. We got the Yeah movement. So yeah, I mean, a lot of big things
Yeah.
happening in the wrestling world. Maybe we can put a space for you, a chair open Friday nights, maybe Friday
Sure.
nights in the future, 10 o'clock for a half hour. We can get your wrestling perspective. Maybe that's something we can do it and work upon. So maybe that's a way to get you on here. And I appreciate the birthday wish. I certainly wish I would have had a little bit of a better birthday in real life. I had so many birthday wishes. I had hundreds of birthday wishes, which was great. But unfortunately, I've been dealing with this sickness. I don't have COVID.
I
Some people
heard,
ask
yeah.
me, some people say, do I have COVID? I'm like, no, I don't have COVID. I just
Oh.
have this virus that I can't shake, which is actually worse than COVID because my throat is still not 100%. I'm dealing with a little bit of a cough, which I'm actually a little bit better off, but I'm still not 100% going on 3+ weeks. I went to Expendables. Maybe the reason why I got sick because I saw Expendables and it wasn't so good this year. But since then, I haven't been able to shake this, but hopefully we'll get past it eventually. Eventually, we always
Oh,
do.
you
A
will.
rising tide always
You will.
lifts all boats. But, I want to bring up a comment because Skulls had asked this question as we get to the remainder of your show. And I know that we'll have you back. And certainly you're actually more in the thick of things than you've ever been before. But, on Sportswire Radio, we mentioned a couple weeks ago, we were speaking about it earlier this week when we had on Corey Lee from XCW. He's really kind of the measuring stick. He's one of those guys on the Mount Rushmore. Chris Jones was another guy we had on XCW. And I want to give a big shout out to Chris Jones of XCW. He's the leader of EBW because he actually mentioned his interview with me on XCW TV. So all you have to do is go to XCW Shelbyville on YouTube and watch the Rude Awakening show in the middle of the show, and you can see that nice plug that Mr. Jones gave me. But, we are in the process of coming up with a Hall of Fame. I'm going to reactivate my blog. I have a blog on Sportswire Radio. It's on Sports Report X at Tumblr. I'll put that up later on in the next few weeks. Certainly, I have some engagements for the next couple of weeks that'll really kind of take me away from fully dedicating myself into that, but certainly starting in somewhere the time of November, leading up to my 5-year anniversary and doing this. I've been doing this for 5 years, whether it's SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, LinkedIn, obviously the internet radio. I've been doing this for 5 years. We are going to go in and have a Sports by Radio Hall of Fame. So C2K, Courage to Kill. I mean, do you want to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of
course
Fame?
I do.
And tell us why you want to be inducted.
I want to be inducted because I have been watching this. I love the show. I really love the show, and I met you. You're my brother. I love you, man. It's like it would be an honor. It would be an honor to be part of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So you want to be inducted.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe then we'll induct you into the Hall of Fame before the year is out. So how about that? We'll do a.
How about that? Let's do it.
And speaking of comments, since you mentioned TBW, and obviously their 152nd show is going on, or it may have just ended as we speak. Somebody that will be back also in the month of November. You certainly know him as the Atomic Titan.
My brother. Yes.
He said, when are we getting that match? But you retired. I mean, you officially announced your retirement. So I guess, unfortunately.
You know what?
I lost you there, so I don't know what you had said to that, Mr. C2K. So I guess we're kind of lost in translation, waiting for the punchline, as the Extreme album famously was their 4th studio album. So what did you say to that? Because Atomic Titan had a question and we didn't get your answer, sir. So what is your thoughts on this?
Let's do it. Maybe I can get out of retirement.
Wait a minute. You said you were done. You said you were retired.
Next year. You know why? Because me and him, we have been talking about this and having a match, and I feel like I owe him to him. I do. I owe him a match.
You said on the air, and you made a big post on Facebook.
I did say it. But now that my brother is here,
I know that the Atomic Titan is your brother. But you said that you can't do it no more. The doctors told you
I can do it more, but say this. Just like the doctor said, if whatever I'm doing does get cured into next year, then I would.
Well, I
So
mean, he says
we'll
he's
see.
been waiting
We'll
for.
see.
He's been saying he's been waiting 4 years, but you told us here on this show that you are done.
I know I am down, but we'll see how's gonna. We'll see. We'll see
Okay,
how
all right.
things
So
gonna
I
be.
guess you have retired currently, but at this point, everybody says they retire and they all come back. I mean,
If
Michael
if
Jordan, I mentioned, came back.
SBK
What's that?
as SBK said when he was retiring, came back.
HBK retired a few times, sure. I mean, Ric
Edge
Flair retired like 7 times. Brian
came back.
Danielson, Adam Copeland. I mean,
Hmm.
sure, everybody retires. And Tom Brady retired and came back. I
Came
mean,
back.
so, and speaking of people that you were never going to have a match with, that maybe one day that we spoke about here in prior shows, Craven Rage, the WC champion,
My
All Out
brother.
champion.
What's going on?
Yep, he says hello, and obviously hope the future is well with you. And that's another match
Yeah.
that we were going to miss out on because obviously you
I
and
know.
Craven Rage not going to happen.
To tell you the truth, it's like I do feel bad because it's like I had a lot I things that I wanted to do. Having a match with Craven, having a match with Atomic Titan, it was a lot that I really wanted to do, and it just to like come to an end, and just like, oh my God, it's like I feel really bad, because I know they wanted this, they really want to get in the ring with C2K, Courage to Kill, and do make a dream match, in their wrestling companies, and he just like, oh man, it's like I really wanted to happen.
Yeah, you talked about here you wanted to travel a little bit. This was the
Yeah,
year to travel, and you wanted to go to different places while you had a chance, and but the
yes,
injuries
yeah,
have definitely caught up with you. And obviously, I want
yeah,
people to follow our friends at TBW, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, and go watch their 150-second show.
mm.
This just passed on YouTube. And Atomic also wants to say, Gage Flair, the Nature Boy, also wants a
I
match with
know.
you.
Yes, Gage Fair wanted to match with me too. It's a lot of people want to match with me, and it's like, and oh my God, it really makes me feel bad, because I love these people, I love them like my family, and it's like, yes, I really want to have a dream match with Gage
Have you
Fair.
ever got to meet these guys, Atomic Titan and Gage Flair?
Not in person, but we did have, we do talk on Facebook Messenger, and then we call each other up and had conversations, and then the things that we want to do in TVW, and maybe in other different companies.
So what would it even mean just to go and watch them wrestle? I mean, what does that mean to you just to be able to go up there and watch them?
It would mean a lot to me. I would love to go to TVW just to watch them wrestle and probably do an appearance too.
And you love the product, obviously. Ledger
I
Shade is
do. Tell you the truth, the way I met them is I saw them in YouTube. Saw them on YouTube. I've been watching this wrestler for probably more than 4 or 5 years.
yeah. I mean, the company I think has existed for six. I think just about six.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
For 6 years, and I got to get to know the owner of TBW, and he's my brother too, and then we became family. We became like brothers, and like,
They
yeah,
got a good locker room. I know a lot of
yeah.
people come on and say, TBW this, TBW that, but I think a lot of people, really wish that they had had the support or the following that TBW has. That's why we certainly appreciate everybody and we try to give
So,
everybody a crack here on
mm,
Sportswire. And, you could be a manager maybe. Listen, you talked about commentary. You could be a
yes,
manager.
yes, yes. I
Well,
probably
listen,
be
Captain
manager.
Lou Albano had a second career as a manager. Look at Paul Heyman. Bobby Heenan had a little bit of wrestling, and he went into
Sure.
managing. Rick Rude did it for a while. I mean, certainly
You know
there is a
what?
path. Mr. Perfect.
How about I'll become Atomic Talent Manager.
Ooh, well, you know what? Listen. That could certainly be something we would want to see. And Craven Rage, the Backyard Nightmare, the ruler of WCE, says, "With all due respect to C2K, I respect your decision to retirement, and I wish we could have had that dream match. But it's an
Yeah.
honor to see you craft in the ring, we'll definitely have a spot for you.
Thank you, my brother. I would definitely, if it's let's see, you got me, give me another third chance, and to come back to wrestle, and yeah, we'll love to wrestle with you, my brother. I love you, man.
Another wrestler in C2K, another wrestler that says, maybe a twinkle in his eye. I mean, we'll see. But I mean, you obviously have explained why you've retired. And
Yes.
certainly he also says here, I can't wait to come back on here. Yes, we're going to bring on Atomic Titan next month in the month of November. So certainly. I definitely am looking forward to Atomic Titan. I'm looking forward to TBW coverage because we have a lot of coverage ahead with TBW. I know that the Painmakers coming back on. I know we've spoke with a couple of different other wrestlers in
Yes.
TBW that would like to come on. And I try to strike a balance here to give everybody a chance here in Sportswire because
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes you get different companies. They go, I like this guy, I like that guy. But what I really specifically try to do is give everybody an
An
opportunity.
opportunity.
And certainly Atomic Titan is one of those people that we do enjoy his
Yeah.
ring ability. We enjoy what he does in the ring, and really everybody in TBW. And I'm very happy that we can cover TBW here in Sportswire, just like I can cover WCE, just like I can cover with RWA. And Atomic would like to ask you, what is going on with RWA?
Right now, RWA is doing great. Right now, they got a lot of shows coming up. Don't know the dates, but we are,
Saturdays at 6 is when the shows air. You know that. Saturdays at 6 p.m. Come
yeah,
on.
they really, we're gonna have more shows coming up. Hopefully very soon. But every Saturday, you guys gonna get a show.
And I think I might have said this in prior shows as we're speaking with the legendary C2K, but 6 o'clock used to be a really important time for wrestling on Saturday nights. Why? Because WCW Saturday nights used to famously, that was their old staple time zone. So if you were
Yeah,
watching TBS, you would watch it sometimes before a Braves game. You get an abbreviated form of Saturday night. You would at least get that from 6 o'clock to say
yes,
7 o'clock or 7:30, or you would get it in the 2 hour standalone slot. You would get Saturday night. So 6 o'clock, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're an old school wrestling fan, you
mm-hmm.
remember that WCW Saturday nights used to air at 6 o'clock. Because I remember growing up and watching
Yes, yes,
WCW
we
Saturday
remember.
night at 6 o'clock. And that's when you can watch RWA Galaxy shows,
Hmm.
RWA Galaxy 585 on YouTube, Rochester Wrestling Alliance on Facebook. So that's a great time and still a great time for wrestling fans to watch all things related to the world of RWA. And again, one more time, TNA, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling on YouTube. You can watch Rampage 152. If you haven't checked it out yet, go do so. Go check out everything TBW has to offer. WCE has their season finale coming up toward probably the first week in November that will air. So obviously, WC is going to certainly have some more coverage again before the season's out. We'll see if we can work them in the schedule on Sportswire. I don't know at the moment because I have a lot of prior engagements, so I can't promise or confirm WC's return to Sportswire, but it will certainly be at worst after the show airs. So we'll at the very least get more WC coverage here or not. And before I go off the air in a few minutes, I mean, is there anything that you want to say and anything else that's on your mind that we should know about?
What I really want to say to everybody, to all the wrestlers, TBW, back everything companies, follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Don't never tell people what to do with your dreams, what to do with your life. You guys are doing great. Trust and believe. You guys are making us legends. Uh, proud. We proud of you. And keep going. Keep going. Don't never stop for nobody. Do what you love to do, and you just to get at that ring and do what you love to do and entertain your fans. You know, keep going and never forget about C2K Courage to Kill.
I don't think anybody's forgetting about you by a long shot. I mean, you might be coming back on the Sportswire to give
Of
a
course,
short look on
yes,
wrestling analysis. I mean, you're getting
yes.
inducted into the Hall of Fame, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody's forgetting you by a long shot. I mean,
Yes,
so
I know.
I'm sure we'll see. And obviously, if you want to follow C2K, you can definitely do that on YouTube again at C2K 585. C2K, Courage to Kill 28, and Instagram, The Real C2K83 here as we're on Sportswire Radio for a few more minutes here with C2K. And again, he has talked about the news here tonight that he is, for now, it seems, has stepped away from the ring, although he's certainly trying to, as best he can, walk away from that statement. And,
Mm-hmm.
I have a surprise for you before
Go
we
for
go
it.
off the air today, because that's why I was trying to stall for time here. As in wrestling, almost put a hold on my opponent to buy some time, because we have somebody here that wants to say hello to you. Obviously, somebody that you consider a brother, and somebody that would obviously like to say a few words to you in person, live on the air. We are talking about none other than one of the best right now in our sport. He is a huge part of things in a company that we referenced a lot called Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. He is Atomic freaking Titan. Atomic Titan was like, "Can I come on?" I'm like, "You're Atomic Titan. Of
Rock
course you can
on,
come on." So what
What's
do you
up,
want to
brother?
say, my friend? How you
I
doing?
respect you a lot. I respect you a lot, C2K.
bro. I respect you too, my brother. You my brother, man. I love you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
I
that
hope you don't
beard,
say
beard,
everybody's your
everything.
brother. I really
Okay.
hope. I hope you don't say everybody's your brother.
Honestly, didn't know that you retired. That was shocking to hear that.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
last month he
I had
announced
to,
it.
my brother. I had to.
That's fine. I understand.
I hope you're
But
not going to come on here to announce your retirement, right? You're not retiring, right?
oh no, not me.
No, no, no.
No, that's good news.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
not
oof.
for a while.
I was like, sometimes
Not
I
for
bring
long.
people on sometimes I bring people on the streams. I'm like, here we go. Here's the fireworks. In this case, it's a good thing because I'm like, sometimes Atomic Titan, your name comes up and it goes, people get different opinions. But tonight, I'm glad that, you're not going to announce your retirement here with us.
Oh
Thank
no,
God for
not
that.
tonight.
No,
Not
you
tonight.
better not retire yet.
Oh no, I'll be doing
So, I
this for
mean,
a long
obviously,
time, brother.
what's on your mind? Obviously, TBW is coming toward the end of the season. We've got the
Oh,
biggest show of the year coming up next month. Obviously, we're going to resume coverage here with you guys next month. You're going to come back. Obviously, the Painmakers reached out. Mr. Allen, we're going to bring back on. Unfortunately, I would have had more coverage the last few weeks of you guys, but I'm still sick. For 3 weeks, I have this virus. I don't have
oh,
COVID.
Yeah, man.
I officially don't have COVID. I just can't shake it. So, but
Yeah.
obviously, anything you want to talk about in terms of what we can look for from you guys in TBW before the season's
Look.
out, and we'll talk about on Sportswire.
Our next event coming up is All Hallows Mania 3.
yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
the
Absolutely.
end of October. So we just had that episode. Then 153. That's the go home show. So I'll be out in probably a few days now. And then All Hallows Mania filming.
It's
Is
crazy.
actually,
I had you on the show. I want to say April or May, and we were just talking
yeah.
about the season restarting, and now it's like the season's almost over. It's like, where does the time go?
I know it's crazy. Time flies by fast.
It
It
does.
I
has.
mean, it's just like yesterday, like we had Craven Rage. WC season
Yeah.
ends, in 2 weeks. You guys are going to end in about a month. It's like crazy that, like, I remember having you listen, and C2K came on, and we were talking about this thing called RWA, and John Jackson and Stephen Havoc, and RWA, and they were starting up, and that was, I think you came on in April. John came on like in March. And you guys were just starting up, and now you guys are like getting toward the end of your season now. It's crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's right, man.
Not much longer left. So just
Well,
stay
you know
tuned
what?
to
It's
see
good
what
for everybody.
happens.
You must be looking forward. Obviously, we want to hopefully, you can get some things going here toward the end of the season, and get things back on track. And does that motivate you before we move on and say sayonara to both you guys? Does that these last few shows coming up, is that going to motivate you think to kind of get you over the finish line here a little bit, because we want a strong finish from you there?
Yeah. It's gonna motivate me. Like I said, if you just seen the episode it aired,
Yep.
I have one more chance now at another title, so I could win or lose that one. If I actually Beast told me if I don't win the opportunity next week, I'm fired.
You better
Well,
win.
I think that's a reason
Better
why.
beat him up.
I listen. Well, that's a reason why. By the way, cheap plug. You want to
Yeah.
follow Tennessee Backyard Wrestling,
Yes.
YouTube, Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, but especially watch on YouTube at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, because we know that the Atomic Titan is going to find a way here, because he is going to make
Well,
sure he is the American Dragon. He is one of the best here, and we're going to make sure
well.
he takes care of business. And C2K, anything you want to say to your brother before we sign off here in the next few minutes?
Brother, I want to say this. I'm proud of you, brother, for everything that you have done. I have watched you grow, man. Now you got a beard and everything now, man. You're growing up on me, making me older. you know, but man, better win.
He had
You better
a
win.
goatee before.
You
I feel like you've had the goatee before. It's the
Yeah.
mustache that's throwing
it
you
was the
off.
mustache. Yeah, the mustache. Yeah. But man,
Some
bro,
years,
you better win. Bro, better win.
like
Give
I
it all.
say, after that defeat, Gage Flair gave me at Summer Bash.
I know we spoke about that on the show. I know.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I got one more opportunity. Next is the
You do.
hardcore title. But if I win, I mean, I could still chase after going the world title.
Of
So
course. Of course.
chase after
There's a
that.
lot of time left.
That's the end goal. Finish the story right there.
Well, I mean, look, and obviously, if there's anybody that can unseat Ledger Shade, you're the guy that can do it. You've done it. You've done this before. You've been there. So
Yeah.
obviously, I have no doubt that you're going to certainly come through like a rose and show why you're one of the best in this sport. So we'll certainly be excited
Yes.
to see that. But obviously, I want to get to closing thoughts here tonight. And C2K, I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. Obviously, it was a long wait to have you back, but it's good to have you back
It
on
was.
Sportswire. So, want to give you the floor. Anything else you'd like to plug, share, or say? And the floor is
I'm
yours.
I'm really glad to be back in Sports Warrior, and I mean I'm glad that now that my brother here is that was a surprise for me.
It was
You
a big
know,
surprise. And I have to be honest, it wasn't planned. It was like Atomic popped on and he messaged me. He's
boom.
like, do
Yeah.
you want to? He's like, can I come on? I was like, well, all right. I mean, it's sometimes we have Atomic, and whether it's like different companies come on with 3 initials, and it's like, we've mentioned Atomic. It's like, okay, I don't know if I can, you want to like, certainly. But in this case, I was like, yeah, all right, absolutely, sure. So,
You know, tell you the truth. I did had a long run in the wrestling for 30 years, and it just like it has come to an end. But you know what? This is what I love to do. I gave my life, I gave my everything to it, and you guys need to watch all these wrestlers. Atomic Titan, TVW. Keep watching, never stop watching them, because these guys are the future. Even him right here, he's the future of of the backyard wrestling. And keep going, and you better win. You
don't put
better
too much
win.
pressure now. Listen, don't
Listen,
put too much pressure.
I'm gonna be
Hey,
watching. You better win.
I've cracked under pressure, so you better watch it.
See, there you
I'm gonna
go.
be watching. Trust me.
All right.
All right, well, I
won't let
want
you down.
everybody
I
to
won't let you
follow
down.
C2K on YouTube at C2K 585, C2K Courage to Kill 28, Instagram The Real C2K 83. Definitely check him out. And also check out RWA. Stefan Havoc is doing a great job. Unwanted,
Yeah.
certainly have been a huge part of things. I mean, just John has done a great job there. Of course, your real brother, John The Rock Jackson, has certainly done a great job there. And C2K, obviously, I had mentioned about you being in the Hall of Fame, but as I turn over to Atomic Titan, I probably got to induct you into the Sportswire Hall of Fame at the end of the year, because I'm actually doing a Hall of Fame, because at this point I'm going into 5 years, and everybody's got a Hall of Fame. There's this Backyard Wrestling Nexus Hall of Fame. There's the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. There's the Basketball Hall of Fame. And I'm like, you know what? I actually interviewed enough people, and I've lasted for almost 5 years, whether it's SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, and all my platforms are still up. Yeah, 5 years I'm doing it. Pretty much wasn't trained, just learned and did it. Just used my experiences of being in the community and working in politics, and just trained myself. But obviously, we'll induct you in the Hall of Fame when you come back on as well, sir. And I have my blog, which you're going to reactivate to make those announcements. And Atomic Titan, I want to give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, and be my guest.
Thank you for the support, guys, and like C2K said, watch all the backyard wrestling you can, wrestling, professional wrestling, whatever it is, and just keep supporting wrestling. All I like to
Oh,
say.
absolutely. That's no brainer. No brainer. And speaking of people, now I mentioned the Hall of Fame and it worked people up because I knew that was going to happen. Craven Rage says Atomic Titan definitely Hall of Fame. Yes,
Yeah,
obviously.
I appreciate
Speaking of
that.
yeah,
people that I
I
just
agree.
watched on TV, they're more of an underground indie company, but they're called Dominant Breakout Wrestling. I believe I can call him the Bitcoin billionaire, Mr. Chase Wakefield, who's best friends with Aaron Jones, by the way. Aaron Jones is a big man, big man. See him in VTW. He says, I need to do more shows to get into the whole thing. No, it's not about doing more shows. It's about what you've done in your career. And yes, the
Exactly.
Bitcoin billionaire, Chase Wakefield, I guess at this point I'll induct you in the Hall of Fame. So it's really not about how many times you've been on Sportswire. I mean, yes, there are some people that have been on Sportswire like a lot, like RPD in the UK, or the Big Cheese Logan, our pro world champions. But you've
Yeah,
certainly had a career that's worthy in the underground indie scene, and you've traveled to different states. So we'll definitely bring you back. We love DBW, love VTW, we love TBW and the RWA. And I want everybody, again, to support all these great companies. But most importantly, you can check us out here on Sportswire Radio on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. And C2K, congratulations. If this
thank
is
you.
it, on a well documented, well traveled career. I look forward to
Thank
having
you.
you back more often on Sportswire. Obviously, we'll
Of course.
induct you into the Hall of Fame. Maybe we'll bring you on for
Thank
some
you.
wrestling analysis in Atomic Titan. I look forward to seeing you before the
Yeah.
season is out in TBW for more coverage. And
Oh
thank
yeah.
you for popping on to say a few things to
Oh, you're
C2K.
welcome.
And, I hope everybody has a great night. And thank you guys. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Courage to Kill C2K from RWA Galaxy, who has decided for now that he has stepped away from the ring, and also to make a surprise appearance to congratulate C2K on his
Thank you.
documented career. His longtime friend, the Atomic Titan,
Thank you very
the
much.
American Dragon. The Atomic Titan is a huge part of things here at
The
TBW,
best.
Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. And yes, one of the best companies out there. I agree with you. And my name is the
Yeah.
Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, and the owner of Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station. If you are on Sportswire Radio right now on our radio.co feed, you go back to regularly scheduled programming, some music before we put you into some more talk. And I'll be back here a few times this week. Tomorrow, I'll be back 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:45 p.m. British Standard Time, with one half of the Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Champions from the Society, the Upgrade Callum and Jakester. MX Nights, same time, same channel. Wednesday, I'll also be here Thursday night, Brandon Castelli, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and Friday from
Oh yeah.
XCW Shelbyville, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I'll be in the house with Brogan O'Shea. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sports Wire Radio.